are we monitoring them? Are we tracking the students throughout their process to make sure that they are getting the actual, not only the instruction, but the encouragement to excel? Are they expected to excel? You know, those things need oversight. And it's been my career the past 10 years to look into those programs and make sure that those programs are doing what they're supposed to do. And in the end, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, it takes a humble yet guided servant to say, we need to change. We need to go in and do something differently in order to get the maximum results for our students. And so, you know, I could go on and on and on. I love talking about education, but you know, I love to take your questions as well. You all are here today to learn from me, and you know, I love to get engaged with you all, because you all are your stakeholders. You're Evanston residents.
I'll start. Okay, you start, Susan.
If you were to sort of fast forward, get elected 4 years from now, what would you feel really proud of accomplishing if, you know, in your role as, let's say, as a school board member? What would it be that would make you feel like I've accomplished X, Y, or Z? And what would that be?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. On the communication front, if I in 4 years, if I can go into the community and have a conversation with someone in a coffee shop where they know the issues and they know the real issues, I will feel accomplished then, because right now I'm communicating with people, I'm talking to people, and they have ideas of what they think the issues are, but they're all wrong. We can't improve without having good, solid debate and good conversations. But you can't have a conversation if only one side knows the issues. I want the issues to be right there for everyone. If both sides know the issues, you come together, you may not agree with everything, but you can have some success. Right now, too few people in the community know the real issues. There's so many things I've spoken to people, you know, oh, Evanston's getting rid of all honors. No. There was never a vote to get rid of honors courses. Evanston, and hopefully in the future we look to add more honors courses, and we encourage more students to take honors courses. I mean, we're not getting rid of the honors, you know, those type of things. So in 4 years, if I can go into a coffee shop and someone says, hey, you know, I heard about this, and they can be right on target, and they know exactly what's going on, I will feel as if there's been some success, because right now I feel that communication is not there.
So how would you do that in a policy role?
In a policy role?
Yeah, you know, as a school board member.
Well, someone asked me, they said, well, you know, should board members be in the school, within the school? And I said yes. I said board members should have an active role in the school. You know, I hate to use this analogy, but you know, you don't want the plumber telling the dentist how to do his job, because the plumber has no idea what the dentist does. Well, you know, a school board is not made of educators typically, but if you're going to advise educators on how they do their job and how they affect the students, you need to know what they're doing. You need to be right there with them. So that's number one. More interaction with the actual school, getting involved, sitting in classrooms, speaking to students. We don't hear from students very often. We may hear from them during a board meeting where they come in and give their public comment, but let's engage the students. You know, there's a student council, but how about an auxiliary board for students where we have representatives to come and communicate with us? Hey, you know, these are things that are going on in our lives. You know, our parents are very vocal. This is what we think. On another front, you know, we've been doing a lot of campaigning as candidates now. Board members are out in the community and they're talking to people. That's because it's campaign season. What about doing that on a regular basis where we get people together in a room like this to talk about the issues, so that board members can come to the table, not just hearing what administration says and hearing public comment. By the time we get to that point, they're spitting venom at that point. They don't want to have a conversation. They want to let you know why they're upset. Before they get upset, let's talk. Let's talk and let's have real discourse and real conversation. So that's the direction I want to go in my communication. I mean, I live in this community. I am still very close with faculty members, and, you know, administrators. I want to get more involved with students and the parents as well. You know, I'm enjoying this right now. I have people here who actually want, you know, you're here because you care about education. I do too. We have one thing in common. You know, we can continue our communication. I think all board members should do that.
Just stand over here.
I'll do one, okay? So, you know, it's a great point, Scott, and I think one of the frustrations, though, that a lot of the current board members can speak to, though, is often when you have fora for public members to come in and talk about particular issues, if there's a real controversial issue at the moment, like, you know, the board has recently gone through, a lot of people will come. But if it's a normal sort of conversation, you get 2 or 3 people that show up. And I think one of the questions is, how do you engage the community to get more involvement on a more regular basis? Are there things that you would suggest? And frankly speaking, I think that's, you know, it's a very difficult challenge when there aren't a lot of controversial issues, but nevertheless, it's an important element in communication. So what would you do?
Well, you know, I've spoken with different aldermen in the community, and they have their ward meetings, they have different things. So they're elected officials, and they represent a certain segment of the community. They're constantly engaging the community, inviting them in.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you want to communicate, you want to make sure that someone gets it, because you can put things out in literature, you can print things, you can put them on websites anywhere. Doesn't mean people are gonna read it. You may need to force it on them. You need to say, hey, you know, take this, because when you come to the table, when you have something that you don't like, I want you informed, so that we don't waste 3 hours on you yelling about things that aren't true. So, you know, obviously inviting members in, holding different, not ward meetings, we don't have wards in the school board, but different community meetings, just getting really involved. I think that alone would have solved a lot of the problems when it comes to the recent proposal for humanities. And no one's ever gonna want to agree with everything 100% of the time. 100% of the time it's never gonna happen. But you can take a large segment of people who are upset out of the equation if they're well informed. And so many people weren't informed. And some people were legitimately upset off of the things they heard, because things they heard were just really, really bad, but they weren't true.
Scott, I'd like to, I'm a former board member, and I'd like to follow up a little bit on the communication. And my experience was that parents who had children about to come to the high school, or children who were current students, had the biggest investment. And I found it challenging to get other people involved, because I would hope everyone in the community would have a stake in the future of our young people, whether they go to college in 3 years or never, or are right on that track. It's everybody's, it's a personal opinion, responsibility in making that happen. So I'm interested in how you think getting a broad section of the community interested in, supportive of, and focused on what happens at 1600 Dodge, so that they're not thinking about what happened on the corner 2 weeks ago, or, you know, how kids are, or whatever. That everybody has a stake in educating good citizens and productive people, etc.
Well, you know, the most vocal stakeholders are the parents, because they have children there. The community at large, their property taxes still go towards their educational system. And because they're stakeholders, if you treat it as if it's a corporation, those who have invested, typically, and anyone here who's invested anything, you receive a report on what your money's doing, where it's going. We can do the same thing with the high school. Say, hey, you know, these students have succeeded, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but we can wrap it up. I'll tell you one thing. I met with the communications director at Evanston, and she was very proud because they had a Facebook page and a Twitter page. But no, that's progressive, and you know, those are things that are, you know, that's a new wave of communication. So I went to both pages, and the Facebook page had 300 fans, I think the Twitter page had 100-something fans. And I thought about it, I thought, well, okay, you got almost 3,000 students, and probably 5 students in the school that don't have a Facebook page. and answer this question, who in this room has a Facebook page? Okay?
I'm actually friends with them.
Right, we have one of our friends here. So we have 3,000 students, they all have a Facebook page. I'm curious as to how many students actually know about the Evanston Facebook page. And for each student, you know, there's at least one parent, for most students, at least one parent, okay? You have over 500 adults in the school. So I mean, when you look at that, and the school prides itself on its new communication program, how much are we really putting our money where our mouth is?
But when my next door neighbor's youngest child graduates this June, how can I keep her still interested in what happens there, even in a global sense?
I tell you what, and people who live in this community who work in this community. Well, this